Hey guys, what's going on? It's Rekt Capital and welcome back to the Rekt Capital channel. Thank you so much for joining me today on this historic, quite overwhelming day because we've had some substantial retracement in Bitcoin's price action, but also market wide. In fact, many altcoins are producing candle bodies that we've actually never seen before, which might actually give us some reason to believe that those candle bodies aren't gonna last for a long time. They'll probably turn into downside wicks, much like what we saw right over here. But let's talk about the level-headed insights at the moment. And let's go back to what I was talking about yesterday, because we were at this green support region, right? If you remember yesterday's video, we were talking about how this candle was preparing to be a relief rally candle, and it of course turned into be that way. We rejected from that support area, but even this support area right over here didn't hold. And what I posted on Twitter was that we easily lost the 38k support area, and now we have to watch out for Bitcoin to produce long downside wicks below this support area for there to be some semblance of bullish momentum happening. So we needed to see some sort of downside wicks like we saw before earlier this year in January below the support area, this orange one right over here, for us to gain some bullish momentum, some semblance of it. And we got that, and that's a positive at the moment. But what we need to focus on right now is that now that we've produced that downside wick, now that we've actually protected this low 30k support area, we now need to watch out for this support area, 38k, which just got sliced through like butter, right? If we just cycle back right over here from yesterday, we tapped this area, but then, you know, that area didn't even produce any support, any substantial support whatsoever. So now we need to really focus on this area. A failed support, could it flip back into a resistance like it did in the past where it rejected price a bit? And if it does reject price and turn into a resistance, that doesn't need to be cause for concern, especially after what, a 50% retrace, even more maybe. So a rejection from here and a pullback again into downside continuation, it will be really interesting to see how quickly this downside does occur, because we've seen acceleration right here in the sell side momentum. And if the sell side momentum actually starts to become a bit more gradual, then we can start to think about a higher low forming. So should we reject from this resistance right over here, we'll pull back and potentially form a higher low, maybe even at this support region, in which case we'd have this low and then a higher low. And overall, if you're thinking about this price action right now, this is a candle bodied low, and this is a wicking low. So already you have a macro higher low of sorts forming already, but still too early to say because this is a weekly chart, which means that the week is still young. It is only Wednesday, so lots can still change during this week. But if things crystallize themselves as they are right now, that's essentially what I'm watching for. A bullish trigger from this point would be for price to slink up right over here, close above this orange area of 38k, and then pull back into it, and then rebound back into this region of previous support. That would be a bullish, more of a bullish scenario, and we'd probably see some sort of relief in that sense. But of course, it's all about watching for these key areas and how they manage to perform going forward, because we've seen a lot of capitulation so far. But is that the end of the capitulation? And there is something to pay attention to. And that, of course, is these two key monthly levels, because we have 33k being one really key monthly level, and we have 29k being a very important level with, of course, some scope for downside wicking potentially into some 26k region. So really important to watch out for these two monthly levels. Of course, this right over here, this region is confluent with this monthly region over here, this monthly level. So lots of confluence in terms of support. Let's see how we continue to react from there. But what I also want to bring to your attention is that this is the RSI indicator. And essentially speaking, very basically, this is where we tend to see overbought conditions where too many people are buying, and that tends to precede a reversal. And we see oversold conditions below the 30 area. So essentially too much selling going on, which tends to precede a reversal towards the upside. We're now at a point in time where Bitcoin on the daily is reaching a RSI of 20 and oversold is below 30, right? Oversold is below 30 and we're already at 20, roughly speaking. And the last time that we were in an oversold region for Bitcoin was back in March 2020, where we saw a bottom occur after a severe crash, and then it took off into a new bull trend, as we remember. So really important to note that we are currently reaching an RSI region and level that's very similar to March 2020 before bottoming out after a capitulation wick formed and then taking off into a bull trend. So this was RSI 15 in March 2020. We're now in RSI 20. So that bottom is getting quite close. With each passing day, the bottom is getting closer for Bitcoin, especially after such a sharp sell-off. And now we just need to be patient in terms of where we could see a market structure form. Will that high low occur? Will this area turn into a resistance? Let's watch out for what happens to this area right now, because that's the most important region. Is it going to turn into a resistance? If it does, it will reject price into lower regions, potentially for a higher low once again. If it doesn't turn into a resistance and we actually see price go like this, then we'll probably return to 44, the mid 40s, essentially speaking. So this is essentially the most important region to watch out for going forward. But really positive that we've seen such a strong reaction like we see over here. In fact, this is a much larger downside wick compared to the downside wicks over here. So the buyback compared to this time is much more aggressive, much more strong, and you can't blame that after a 50% haircut right over here. Such a retracement period, lots of volatility, lots of extreme emotions, concluding with extreme emotions in the form of bargain buyers aggressively buying that pullback. Extreme fear precedes financial opportunity, and we are currently right now on the fear and greed index in the extreme fear category. Can this number go down? It has gone down much lower than 23, although I'm sure this number is going to be much lower than 23 by tomorrow because this new data hasn't been taken into account. But that's what we need to pay attention to. Extreme fear precedes financial opportunity, and we have to turn into panic buyers, bargain buyers, and not into panic sellers who panic sell bargains. So let's watch out for how things turn out. That's about it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. And of course, like the video if you'd like to see more videos like this as well. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.